In-car stereos are certainly an important part of the driving experience these days. They bring us traffic information, news, and of course music to listen to. So what about the people whose job it is to keep us entertained and informed while we drive? What cars do they choose to drive? Well, to find out, I've come to a new radio station in Manchester, Lite AM, to meet three of the staff and discover exactly what influenced them with their choice of cars. Lite AM journalist Wendy Middleton drives an old model Toyota Corolla. And although she's keen to change, what's making her stick with the Toyota?
I like it. It's not too heavy, and being quite small, that's important. The brakes aren't too heavy, the acceleration's quite good, and the steering isn't too bad, but I'd prefer power steering.
As a small person looking at cars, is there an awful lot of choice out there for you?
There are an awful lot of cars, but there's nothing that you really look at and think, that's great, I'd really like one of those. At least not in the price range that I'm aiming at. Everything just seems very bland and it's all the same, and sometimes you can't tell the difference between one marque and another because they seem to have borrowed the same pattern to make the car.
Okay, so what things have you found wrong with it? You know, if you could change anything on this car, what would you change?
It's getting a bit old now, it's getting a bit rattly, it's using more oil than it used to. It's a question of age, really. It's also not got as many gizmos, features that newer cars have got.
So you're a gadget freak?
I do like to know what there is, and I would like to have more of them, but it's a question of price.
So what about the future? Are you going to hang on to the Corolla, or have you got plans to change it?
As I said, it's getting old, so I am looking to change, but I've not seen anything that I really like. As I said, I like the shape of the one I've got, so I'm looking for something that I look at and go, oh yes, that's nice, but everything just seems much of a muchness. It's a bit boring, really.
It's a bit of a challenge there for the car manufacturers from you.
I would think so, yeah, definitely. Everything looks the same.
The Corollas of this era had a thoroughly capable hatchback, saloon and estate range, with economy and performance models, plus a four-wheel drive estate. They were well known for their reliability, build quality and limited depreciation. The Corolla was bland, but bomb-proof, rather like a good washing machine. The compact hatchback, saloon, liftback and coupe all had good engines with safe handling and excellent reliability, only let down by noise levels at speed. The more modern Corolla is one of the world's top-selling cars, topping the JD Power Customer Satisfaction League for years. But that doesn't mean it's one of the best to drive. On the road it actually feels pretty much the way it looks. Smooth and competent, but dull. The 1.3 engine is poor, as is the 2-litre diesel. The 1.6 is better, but so it should be at around £13,000. And at that price, it's worth thinking about a Carina E instead. Legendary presenter Dave Cash has been in broadcasting for many years, working with plenty of other big names, including Kenny Everett. So what made him choose to drive an equally legendary car, the Ford Granada?
It is a lovely car to drive. You don't get any problem with. You see, that's the hardest you have to work going around. The automatic transmission is very smooth, and it's got a lot of punch to it. If you actually put your foot down. I was in a 2-litre Granada that a friend of mine had once, and I didn't like it very much because it was underpowered. But when you put your foot down on this, when you need to get out of somewhere fast, and that's usually the reason for power, it really does shift. And I don't know the exact times, but especially from a rolling start, from a standing start, it's not like a Porsche or anything like that. But from a rolling start, if you're doing 15 or 20 miles an hour and you have to get around somebody in a hurry, you put your foot to the floor on this and it'll just take off.
There's a lot of nice extras in the car, just looking around. I mean, you've got the electric windows, which are a nice addition, definitely. Certainly if you're doing a lot of driving, the sunroof is good. Yeah. What other things do you like about it inside here?
I like the actual panel, the way the whole thing sits here. It's very easy to see everything. And of course you get used to the toggles, don't you? But I find them very easy to work. I like the idea of the mirror repositioning button, because a lot of this, you know, you turn it over here and you can do that mirror, and you put it over here, you can do that one. And the controls for the windows are all here, and the other two are down here. So you can actually do everything without having to take your eye off what you're doing, because I know where everything is now, obviously. I think that I'm going to be faced with a decision very soon with it in a few months, I have a feeling. It always goes flying past its MOT. It never causes much trouble. But if the engine or transmission goes or something like that, which, I mean, it's overdue, then maybe I might think, oh, well, it's time to pack it in. But a part of me would say, why don't you get a new engine and run it for another 100,000, you know?
In terms of second-hand value, Granada is Ford's big car bargain. It's easy to fix and was built to last. It can only be described as a motorised sofa. It's fast, cosy and reliable, with a tough-as-nails V6 engine that does, however, like to drink the juice. If you are tempted to buy one, the Estates and the 2-litre I models are the best buys, with ex-taxis and ex-police cars the ones to avoid. The Granada tag is now history, and its modern-day replacement is the Scorpio. With its American influence plain to see in the design, it had a mixed reaction with the British car buyers. The Scorpio makes up for it on the inside, though, with plenty of equipment and space, and the 2-litre I 16-valve Executive is probably the best of the lot. Simon Swindells is the sales director at Lite AM. So what attracted him to his Ford Mondeo 4x4 company car?
Well, I bought the 4x4, this is the 4x4 SI, especially for some of the features in terms of road handling. I live over in Sheffield, and the round trip to Manchester and back every day is about 100 miles, and I go via the Snake Pass, so I think it's quite important to have a car that's going to stay on the road, can corner at a relatively reasonable speed, and also has enough oomph behind it to overtake. And those qualities that I was looking for, in the main, I've been quite pleased with.
Just looking round at the interior, it is quite bland, but how comfortable have you found the cabin?
I guess my problem, and I find it in every car, or most cars I should say, is the kind of amount of room for height more than anything else. I'm 6'3", and to get in any car I tend to, have to squeeze in, and 9 times out of 10 find myself lolling my head to one side because the height clearance isn't too good. But apart from that, and the fact that the seats, which are kind of sport orientated, do tend to grip you a bit, and from time to time it feels slightly claustrophobic. But apart from that, the ride is good, and the instrument panel and the dashboard has everything at the fingertips. So again, reasonably pleased with the layout.
Simon, you've only had the Mondeo for 2 weeks, and it's quite soon, I know, but what do you think of it so far? What are the initial impressions?
Yeah, I'm very pleased. I think that's the fairest point to say. I mean, certainly in the drive from Sheffield over to Manchester every day, it's performed how I expected and how I wanted it to. It holds the road nicely, it corners well, it's got that oomph behind it for overtaking.
If you had the unlimited budget, would you keep this one or would you change it?
I'd have to change it, I'm afraid, and unlimited budget, well, I'd have to go for the Jaguar, the 3.2 Sport. For a long time now, I've harboured a dream of having one, and this is extended back to when I was a child and my godfather had one. Ever since then, I've been impressed with the cars. And if I could have a convertible as well for the summer, well, that would be lovely, yeah.
If you turned up at a job in that, the clients would think your rates were too high.
That's true, they'll be asking for discounts left, right and centre.
The Mondeo is one of the best family cars around today. It looks good, it rides and handles well, and it has unmatched levels of equipment. The multi-adjustable steering wheel and comfortable seats make for a good basic drive, with all the switches and controls logically placed. If it's that good, what's Ford's secret? Well, the answer is that a strong range of engines and an excellent chassis are backed up by a model range that offers something for almost everyone. Saloons, hatchbacks and estates all abound in the Mondeo range. Whichever engine you choose, be it the 1.6, 1.8, 2-litre, up to the 4x4, you'll benefit from a quality present in all Mondeos. It betters the Carina, Primera, 405 and Cavalier, which makes it a very accomplished car. And it's become extremely popular with fleet and rental companies. Having said that, it's not all good news for Mondeo owners. Fuel consumption is poor, it has a cramped rear, and you will definitely hear the noise at speed. One other problem to present Mondeo owners will be the launch of the new 97 Mondeo. This new design will quickly outdate the old one, which will no doubt cause a flood of pre-96 models into the second-hand market, so be wary.